Hi, Jamie and Jacqueline. Thank you so much for joining me this podcast episode. Really appreciate it. I know it's been a long time. We planning and we keep on canceling. Finally, we meet. And it's a great pleasure to have you guys.
Thank you for
We're
the
excited.
opportunity. Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
We're excited to be here.
yeah, same here. I'm super excited to learn both of your journey. Like we both started a business together, and that's incredible. That's like uh, not many people are doing a business with their parents. They always like I know best, and parents like I know best, and kids like I know best. It's always the debate and always happen. But I started the business with my dad first because he's teaching me and everything when I was 11 years old. So that's how I know like how relationship can build doing a business. So I'd love to know more about both of your journey. So starting off with the Jamie, like how did you become an entrepreneur yourself? Is that like you've been doing it for long term or like recently started?
Yeah, I've been in sales my entire life. So in the real estate industry in Toronto, Canada,
Yep.
I've been in sales since I was 22 years old. Became very successful in that endeavor, and ended up building out a real estate team, and then transitioned into a leadership position and opened up a real estate office. We ended up having ownership in 4 different offices.
Yeah.
So I've been an entrepreneur salesperson, and I consider salespeople business owners and entrepreneurs. They may not look at themselves that way. However, I always consider myself a salesperson and a business owner. And so I've been on this journey since I was 22.
Oh wow, it's a long journey. Probably 3 4 decades, right?
Well, I'm 58, so there you go. You can count the math.
Yeah, it's nearly 4 decades. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
coming up. Oh, wow. Yeah, I never thought of it that way before.
you look quite younger than that though. Anyway, I thought like in 50s, early.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So it's been a long journey. So you have a lot of experience in terms of like a business world. So how come, Jacqueline, you followed your dad footstep? Like, what actually motivated you becoming like entrepreneur yourself?
I think it was in my blood a little bit. Like my grandparents, everyone kind of had their own thing growing up. So I was very
Mm.
much surrounded by the idea of creating what you want to create to help people directly.
Yeah.
And I went down a different route than Jamie. So I went into marketing. I worked at an agency. It was very much on the corporate end of things. And I just didn't have any connection to the impact I was creating in the
Mhm.
field that I was in. So I really saw an opportunity. I was in one of the programs that we facilitate. Jamie was actually coaching me. So I was just applying these teachings to my life. And I came through as a client,
Yeah.
just like anybody else when they're going through something. And I really started to tap into like, how can I think bigger about things and how can I really make a difference? And I realized I had to get out of that industry.
Mm.
And, there, Jamie and I ended up partnering later on and building this into the brand that it is today.
Yeah, that's great. That's great journey you had. So is it like both of you had like the same plan to do the same business, or who come up with the idea of like what business you have right now?
I made the decision I was going to leave my previous career and profession.
Okay.
And in so doing that, I took 6 months off and just really needed to decompress and think. I
Mm.
knew I was going to step into the coaching realm. I had been doing that for a long time in the real estate space, and I knew it was something in me that I wanted to pursue. And as I was thinking and calming down, Jacqueline was helping me with formulating ideas on from a marketing perspective and how do I at that point build this?
Yeah.
And then it just became this meeting of the minds. And at a point in time, I've shared this before with other people that I just saw Jacqueline from a different perspective. It's like my eyes were opened,
Yeah.
and my daughter, she'll always be my daughter, obviously. However, I saw her now as this strong, powerful business woman. And it was a light bulb moment. And I knew at that point in time that it was definitely something that I wanted to pursue together.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a plan. And I think we always coach this as well. We don't need to have the plan all figured out. We just need to know the next step.
Mm.
And then the best part of me doing and leaving my previous life and career is being in business with Jacqueline.
Yeah. It's a
It's been
great
incredible.
journey, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been incredible.
But a lot of people in the, like a family business, they come up with like a lot of problems to come along with it. Because I started a business, my second, or like my first business in here, like that was my dad' business when I was little. He just, because he had a cancer back then, and he know he's not gonna survive because he has a stage 4 cancer. So he was teaching me how to look after his businesses and managing a day-to-day things. So my actual business started when I was like 20 years old. Started a takeaway business with my brother. We was 50-50. And that actually, like, the relationship gone to sideways because of that. Like, a lot of things like we disagreed on, a lot of things like we wasn't planning, like one was doing more, one doing less, and that kind of thing. And in a relationship is like really, really tough. Whatever happens in the same house, and because we just live in the same roof, under the same roof, like if something is having this disagreement happening in the actual workplace, we're coming home, we have to see each other's face, and there's no secret, right? So that was like tough times. So I would like to know about Jacqueline, like working with your dad, how are you finding it, like that kind of situation? Like probably you guys have disagreed on a lot of things, or like the things doesn't go pan out. How do you keep your calm and work it out through?
We had a similar situation also during COVID. So I was
Okay.
back at home. So we were living together. And like I can agree with what you said, right? Because there isn't that home and state, like everything's combined.
Yeah.
So it's harder to turn off, especially in those situations. We are in different countries now. So I find a huge thing that really helps is communication and learning also self awareness to put your ego aside.
Yeah.
I think when you're working with family, it's really easy to get reactive to things that you wouldn't if it was a traditional, work professional situation with someone that you're not related to.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a level of openness from both of us to hear the other side. And we're human beings. So, of course, we react at times. But I think something that we're both really good at is coming back to the table afterwards and saying, like, hey, I noticed I did this. Maybe this didn't work well. But we always come back to talk things through and make sure that we're moving forward for the best next step for both of us.
Yeah, like having a boundaries is really, really important. And like rather than you seeing like your daughter, your father, like as a business partner, you need to think as a like this is my partner, and like we need to treat as like our colleague, and we have to respect that. It doesn't matter like how old you are and how young you are. So like how do you combat that, Jamie? Like probably Jacqueline, like your daughter, and you have like 40 years of experience, and she come up with some idea. How do you tackle with that? Like, oh, does she know more than me? Like I'm older than her and I have more experience than her. How do you combat that? Like the ego putting on the side and you listen to her.
I think my previous career helped me a lot. Now that you're asking me that question, when
Yeah.
we were building out a real estate company, we built it with a lot of younger people. So the average age was probably late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
And I was inspired by the youth. I was inspired by their new, fresh ideas.
Mm.
And it helped me think different. A lot of people my age, they are programmed to think a certain way and they drag their past experiences into their future. And quite often at this age, they're starting to think about retiring. And I look at Jacqueline as having so many great ideas, perspective that I don't have. So
Right.
she brings as much to the table as I believe I do through experience.
Yeah.
And because of that, I've worked on my leadership skills for a long time, and I've really learned that I need to put my ego aside.
Mm.
And if we are a true partnership, then that means we're equal partners. There isn't a father-daughter relationship here. That is different.
Yeah.
In our business, we are equal partners, and we're going to each come with ideas. We're not each going to be open and willing to accept the other person's ideas as any other business partner, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to accept everyone's ideas. However, we do get really, and we are clear on our future together as a business. And what is our mission as a vision, as a business. And as we are focused on the mission, it's bigger than us. It's about impacting the world and other people.
Yeah.
So it's easy to put me aside in that whole equation because I'm just a cog in the wheel. This is so much bigger. And Jacqueline, younger, yes, in age, in years, very wise for somebody her age. And I'm just in awe of watching her evolve and develop. So I think when I show up in awe and being willing to be inspired and empowered by others, whether it's Jacqueline, Razel, yourself, all of the people around the world, like everyone can impact us in such a positive way if we're open-minded. And that's how I think I've approached our journey together.
Yeah. What you just said, like I think like you approach similar to my dad did. Like He used to share all of my ideas, and I used to share all of my ideas, like how we can expand our existing businesses. And I was 11 years old, child. When I look at my nephews, I was like, this guy is just playing a video game all day. And my dad was actually doing a business, and I actually advising him how to do the business right way, like a new modern way, how new customers gonna think, because he was doing a business for 45 years. He had a restaurant, he had a transport business and everything. So his mindset was like backward. That does like a new YouTube came out, internet came out. I was like talking about like what we can expand on and how things we can do on. And he was just listening to me with like a that time I used to laugh myself. I was like, I was a kid and I was giving advice, and my dad actually listened to me and like respecting me. And when I started my business with my brother, like when I was advising him or something, like we get lots of disagreement. And that time I just realized is have to be like the partner who respect you even though you're younger, or till the date, like he thinks like failure in terms of like what I'm actually doing. He's supposed to think like I have to do different kind of businesses, because I don't share anything like my success or anything is just closed behind. I don't like to like prove my family members like I'm succeeding or doing something good or whatsoever. So a lot of people don't respect that, and that actually ruin the relationship. They don't want to see each other's faces, and everything goes in a mess. And I experienced that on my situation. So it's like a great, like you respecting Jacqueline and Jacqueline as a treating as a your business partner rather than a father, that actually works really, really well. So in terms of like a business wise, like expanding, and what's your plan in the future? Who come up with it? Like, is it you, Jamie, or Jacqueline? I prefer like a Jacqueline is more like a bigger things, and you are just relaxed right now. Let her do everything.
I can't wait to hear her perspective on this.
Yeah, I'd love to know about that as well.
In terms of the scaling. So when we started out, it was Jamie definitely wanted to do something that was a little bit on a smaller basis. So he
Okay.
wanted to focus one-on-one with private clients. And yeah, when I got involved, I think we started looking at it like, how can we make this a global brand to help as many people as possible?
Mm.
So we have expanded what that initially looked like from a vision standpoint, just to, really make a difference in
Yeah,
as many lives as possible.
yeah.
What do you think, Jamie?
It's true. I transitioned into what I thought at the time was going to be a part-time opportunity. I could do it anywhere around the world, 2-3 days a week.
Yeah.
And then Jacqueline's vision of impact inspired me. And that's where I look at her as an awesome leader, because in that vision, creating a global impact, she sold me on it. And it was like, okay, I can bring a lot to the table based on my experience, and I'm not going to shrink and just go away and do something part-time. At this point, let's go build it, and just for fun now, build it as big as we can. So yeah, she inspired me to think bigger as I was transitioning into shrinking, where now we're like, okay, let's go.
We're expanding, yeah.
7 billion people in the world. Who and how can we impact as many as possible?
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree on that. Like, now it's made easier. You can do so much with the technology, social media. Then you can target everyone from you in Canada, she's in the US, and you can work in the UK client, Indian client. However, you can impact a whole world in just as a small device, and you can live a laughter lifestyle. So coming to my next question, which will be in terms of like building a brand business. Jamie, you've been working like 40 years. I'm going to come back to you, Jacqueline, as well on that. It's like 40 years of experience. What lessons you have learned in the 40 years running a business or working in a sales organizations?
Time is of the essence. I think it's come down to that so clear for me now at this point in my life. When I was younger, I thought I had all kinds of time. And as you get older, you realize, you know what, we don't have as much time.
Yeah.
And I see my parents now, and at the latter stages of their life, and they're saying like, boy, was that ever fast. So I think it's something that I work with myself every day, realizing that I have this moment in time. I'm grateful for all my past experiences. I learn from every experience. And I know right now I have the opportunity to be present today, to make the best of today, to make decisions today that are going to help create a bigger and better life for me. So I think time is of the essence. And, if we're not happy with what we have, then there's no better time to create change.
Yeah.
And it has to happen today in my mind. And that means making decisions. So I really help people make the decisions that are going to give them a bigger and brighter future, and realizing that, we may not have as long as we think. So
Yeah.
all we have is this moment in time. So for me, that's the underlying drive for me in every conversation is, okay, I understand the issues. However, what are you going to do about it? Like, when are you going to create this change? Like, we can't put it off.
Yeah.
And time or money tend to be the biggest reasons we put things off. Put that aside. Like, what's causing us to stay stuck? And that for me helps me live my passion and my vision of helping people have the courage to follow their heart, follow their dreams. And when they do that, oh my gosh, their life changes and they own it. They developed it. And that's my mission, and our mission with Be Do Have is help people step into and follow their dreams today.
Yeah, that's a great lesson to learn, to be honest. I experienced the same thing, like time you can buy, and time we just flying nowadays. It just, I don't know how 1 week goes. It just really, really fast. And you experience that as well. Like what it used to be like when you're 20 years old, probably time was a bit slower to compare to right now. It's just going a bit faster. I haven't experienced that kind of long life, but when I was like 11, 12, 13 years old, that time used to be slower. Right now, even though I'm working less hours, I work about 20, 30 hours a week, still feel like the time is flown. Like people working 80, 90 hours, they can't see their life, how years pass by, right? So yeah, time is like most important thing, and everyone needs to respect that. Like we procrastinate every day, like the things we put off, like the dream, the goals we have, and we say we're gonna do it next year, we're gonna do it next month, and time flies by, and you eventually 40, 50 years old, and then your resources is not there, your health is not with you, and you feel like you haven't achieved anything. So yeah, taking action, probably you don't have like all the resources you have, but just you can take one action what you can do on the time being and just move forward. Then eventually everything's gonna be taking its place in our own time. So yeah, Jacqueline as well, like what lesson you have learned for your journey being an entrepreneur?
Similar to what Jamie said at the end there too, that idea of being stuck, because I was in something that I really hated at the end of it. I didn't know what to do next, and that can be a really overwhelming state of mind. That can bring a lot of depression, anxiety, just fear, like to live in that state. So I'm really passionate about helping people, and that's what we do, really get unstuck and figure out that best next step and figure out where they want to go, and just not to stop. Like, especially working in our own business, I think the biggest thing you learn is how to be mentally strong and move forward and not give up, because lessons are learnings. And at the end of the day, I think you actually take away more from those lessons than you do from successes. So just keep going. And, there's always an opportunity for growth, and there's always an opportunity for change.
Yeah, thank you for that. And what advice would you give, like if someone is starting out or wants to start, probably they wants to start with their parents, never thought about it, and is the right idea on how do you approach it, how someone can ask their dad or like their mom to start a business with them, and yeah, get started.
I think the biggest thing is really starting with taking action in some form. So taking some type of aligned action to begin with, and then having that conversation. That's what I found really worked with Jamie, is I was volunteering a lot of my time just to help at the beginning. So we were kind of building that foundation, so to speak. And then I was also learning from him as much as possible before that conversation happened. So definitely building up some type of foundation, and then coming to the table with what you want and what you can see this becoming in the future. So that plan of action too.
That's great. Thanks for that. Going back to Jamie, like what advice do you give, like if someone have their child and a young person like coming out for college, or like the teenager, they can see themselves like as a leader, or like they can be a great entrepreneur as a father or as a mother, like how they can approach and ask them like start business together?
I think it's building relationship with your kids. And our kids are our children, right? And there's that parent-child dynamic that is there all the time. It's when I opened my eyes through building relationships, spending time with Jacqueline, is when I saw her in a different light, with a different lens. And it's not something that was planned. It's so interesting having this conversation, and it's come up a lot recently where people are looking at us and saying, like, this is something different and unique. And
Yeah.
honestly, we didn't see it. I think we've been so focused on some other things, and now as others are noticing it and acknowledging it, it's like, yeah, this is pretty special. And it happened when through relationship, through time, and developing and listening and learning. I think we can learn from everybody, our kids, our parents, everybody. We can learn from everybody. And I have a growth mindset. And I think that's important to have. You have to have an open mind and a growth mindset. Be willing to learn, be willing to put yourself out there and be vulnerable sometimes and know and realize you don't know everything. My God,
Yeah.
I know what I know, and that got me to where I am. To get to where I want to go, I've got to open my mind. And so being open-minded, and our journey began through the relationship building of just being present with each other and having a conversation that wasn't parent conversation.
And I think to add to that too, Jamie, I think it was really, we like humanized, we took aside from the role of just, father and daughter, and like, who are we separately as human beings? And it really started by having like deeper conversations too. Like, what do you think this can become? What does that look like? What could you create in the future? It wasn't just, how was your day? What did this look like? It was a lot deeper, and really putting time in developing that relationship made a huge difference.
And then Razzle, then COVID hit, and like us,
Yeah.
like the rest of the world, when you realize we didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
We just got really scared and got really inclusive all of a sudden. And now you're spending all this time, like that changed our perspective. Like that just totally changed our world. And I remember, I know what I was going through and the fears. And then Jacqueline and I were in conversation, and we just said, why don't we just create a coaching program to help as many people as possible? We created an 8-week free program. We just put it out there. Whoever wanted to come and join us, and join us. And we learned so much together in that, through the fear, through the scarcity, and just helping other people. It just brought us back to who we are and what we're doing every day.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. So we are coming to the end of this podcast. So thank you so much, both of you, Jamie and Jacqueline, for your time today and sharing your experiences working and building together your businesses and your empire. So yeah, those who's listening, if anyone to learn more about you guys, or reach out to you, learn more about your businesses, where's the best place to find you?
So we're on Instagram, Facebook, at Be Do Have Movement, and that's YouTube as well. And then our website is bedohavemovement.com. On there, we're really passionate about helping people step into who they want to be, and that really begins with understanding who they are right now. We do have a free self-discovery quiz to help them figure that out.
Yeah, that's great.
And I would really encourage anybody listening to this at any point. It's a free tool. Like, learn who you are. This is about discovering who we are, and when we invest the time, then we can actually build and grow on that. So yeah, really encourage, empower everyone to check that out.
Yeah, thank you so much for you guys. So it's been a great pleasure and having you guys on the show, and I had a wonderful time with you guys and having a conversation. So I wish you best of luck with your career and personal life. And yeah, until then, I'll talk to you in the next episode.
Thank you, Razzle. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.